this debate. So this will be exciting. So Lori, do you want to take it over from here?
Sure.
Awesome.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for making time for this very important candidate forum. And thank you to the Republican Party of Waupaca County for coordinating this very important event. The goal tonight is to give our candidates the opportunity to share their viewpoints on issues they will face if elected into office. I want to point out that this is a non-confrontational setting. Please be aware that I will modify the questions submitted by the audience to a neutral tone so that each candidate can freely share their opinions related to the subject matter. I have personally talked to each candidate tonight. They will both be staying on after the candidate forum concludes to field individual questions from each and every one of you. So if you have a very specific question, you will have time at the end of the night to speak directly to the candidates. Our candidates, Mr. Cameron Durrant and Mr. Tim Wilz, are both seeking the Republican Party nomination for the August 9th primary election. The winner of the primary will be on the ballot at the November 8th general election. So the forum format and rules are as follows. The questions and discussion topics have been submitted by you, the audience members. Candidate response times are set and signs will be held up indicating 30 seconds left to comment, 15 seconds left to comment, and stop. Each candidate will be given a 3-minute opening statement with the order determined by a coin toss. We did have a coin toss earlier in the hall. Mr. Wilz won the coin toss. He chose to go second for opening statement, so we will start with Mr. Durrant. Let's see here. Okay, after the opening statement, questions will be presented to each candidate. So whoever went first, Mr. Durrant, he would go second on the first question. So Mr. Wilz would be first on the first question. Each candidate will have a 1.5-minute time limit to respond to the question. The questions will run a total of 50 minutes from the start of the first question. Each candidate will then be able to give a 3-minute final statement at the end of the questions. Each candidate has table space right outside of the room where they can put campaign literature and to solicit donations. And each candidate has agreed to stay after the forum to take direct questions from the attendees. Okay, so I would like to ask our two candidates to come up to the podiums and we will get started. As I said, Mr. Durrant will begin, so if you'd like to start with your 3-minute opening, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being here. My name is Cameron Durrant. I'm running for the Waupaca County Sheriff. I'm a detective sergeant currently with Waupaca Sheriff's Office.
Can you hold this for me for a second?
For 26 years. I've gained experience through the majority of the divisions of the Sheriff's Office. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice management and I have a master's degree in Homeland Security. I'm a law enforcement instructor in EVOC, which is Emergency Vehicle Operation and Control, tactical response instructor, and also an evidence collection instructor. For the last 8 years, I have volunteered close to 100 hours of donated time for the Shop with a Cop program. I ask that you take some time after and compare my experience, training, and work ethics to my competitor, Tim Wilz, and you'll see that I'm the better candidate for this position. I'm running for sheriff because I'm concerned about the current and future of the public safety of Waupaca County. Most of you have seen and read the news articles in the newspaper and TV. Most of the articles are true. Police reports have been changed or altered without the authoring deputies' permission or knowledge. Detectives have been suspended and or fired for reporting the problematic behavior of changing the reports. The DA was required to notify the defense attorneys of this violation, advising them of the Sheriff's Brady violation. The leadership decisions of the current sheriff have resulted in fractured relationships within the Waupaca County justice system, low morale in the sheriff's office, growing distrust in the community. This is why I'm running. As your sheriff, I will put public safety first by fostering the environment of transparency and accountability. I'll put public safety first by rebuilding the fractured relationships between the sheriff's office and other criminal justice partners, such as the district attorney's office, the circuit courts, Department of Health and Human Services, and other law enforcement agencies. I will rebuild the morale within the department to ensure our great employees work in an environment that allows them to succeed. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to thank and welcome everybody that's attending. I especially want to thank the Republican Party for hosting this forum. I also want to thank our law enforcement and first responders for keeping our community safe. Oftentimes I'm asked, why did you run for sheriff and why do you want to be reelected? My initial reason, as I think back, is the poor spending habits of our budget. A lack of seriousness in keeping taxpayer dollars in mind. Another thing was, I've watched the promotion process. It's not it wasn't based on merit, it wasn't based on self-initiative, it's based on who was liked, who had more years in. I've watched poor behavior, professionalism, not acceptable. What that did was create bitterness and disrespect for our administrators and those who have been promoted. I wanted the citizens of Waupaca County to see through the windows of Waupaca County, through social media. We increased that. We are not a secret entity. We are your sheriff's office. I've met my initial goals. Our spending has either been at or way well below. We increased school security. We now offer county-wide training. This mutual training is a savings to our tax dollars and ensures all the officers are trained exactly the same. We implemented a drone program. We now have 4 pilots. We now just recently started a dive team, which is all funded just like the K-9 through you folks. Thank you for that. We could have used it this last weekend in searching for a young man, 26 years old, in the Little Wolf River. We called him Brown County, Winnebago County dive team.
Your chair is up here, you can't hear a chair.
As your sheriff, we have completed under budget a new 911 center, taking it from the outside wall where it could be compromised to the inside wall. I'm going to stop here in closing. This is your sheriff's office. We do teamwork, friendship, respect, communicate and listen. We do great things.
Time is up. We'll give you another chance at the end to wrap up, okay? Sorry. When you guys are holding those up, can you hold them up really high? I need you to grab hold of their attention. Okay? Give a little better warning.
Speak louder, they're having
trouble on the way back.
Sure. If each of you gentlemen could please be sure to really hold the microphone closely and speak loudly so that everyone can hear, that would be wonderful. Okay, so this first question is for Mr. Wilz. What is your leadership philosophy?
Simple. You lead by vision. You lead by inspiring. You lead by respect. When you're not promoted, you do not try and take down people. At that point, you don't get a promotion. You try and balance it out by giving that person your ideas. You don't complain about it. That's reaction. The leader that doesn't do that is the leader I want to lead the sheriff's office.
Mr. Durrant, what is your leadership philosophy?
My leadership philosophy is I'd like to get our department on the same page. I'd like to get a program that goes through the FBI. It's a scientific leadership program. It's called the FBI LEADA program. It helps prevent issues like we're having right now in our department. It will move so that our department works together. The leaders actually get the equipment, the training, and what's needed for their employees to make them better, and will help them become better leaders in the future. Thank you.
All right, so this question, we'll start with you, Mr. Durrant. Please give me an idea of what your 30-day goal and your 90-day goal would be if you are elected sheriff this fall.
My 30-day goal would be to get the department back on track, where we would be able to fix the relationships with the district attorney's office, the judges and the courts, the other agencies, law enforcement agencies that we work with. My 90-day goal would be to get everybody together again on being able to get the morale up in the department. I know it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a while, but work on getting to talk to the employees, hear what they have to say, how we need to build the relationship or the morale back up, and how we can do it better for them.
Mr. Wilz, what would be your 30-day goal and your 90-day goal?
Well, my 30-day goal would be rebuild a relationship with our district attorney if she would answer my emails and get back to me. That would be fantastic. So that would be my first goal. We don't really have a morale issue. Actually, the jail inspector was there last or 2 weeks ago, and she told me that we have one of the finest jails. She walked out with no complaints. She said the people are happy, the inmates are happy. And we actually have no issues with morale, so I guess I wouldn't go there with that. My 90-day would be bringing my people back in like we always do, and we talk. We communicate, we listen. That's how ideas are born, and great leadership continues. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, Mr. Wilz. What are 3 key areas that you think are being done well currently at the Sheriff's Department, and what would be the 3 top priorities that you see that need work moving forward?
Well, I think that we have a great administrative staff that really takes care of their people, so that would be 1. I think we have a very progressive office which continues to grow with the help of the county board. That would be number 2. Another great thing would be that we are out there showing the community what we're all about. And what was the second part of that, ma'am?
What are 3 things that you think would need improvement or things that you would work on?
Sure. Communication with district attorney. That would be the only one that we have to communicate with. I guess continue to do more programs with the community and with the school. In fact, we're having a meeting next week for school safety with the administrators and police chiefs. That's something we need to come up with, comprehensive plans that they got to be continually worked on.
Mr. Durrant, 3 areas that you think are working well for the Sheriff's Department currently, and 3 areas that you see a need for improvement.
The first one that is really good is the community. The community has actually been one of our best areas for our sheriff's office. They donate pretty much for whatever program we're asking for. We are able to get what we need. Technology and our equipment are the next 2 that I know our office does very well with. Things that we need to change and move forward with is repairing and rebuilding our relationships with the district attorney's office and the other partners that I talked about earlier. Number 2 would be our leadership. There's got to be some leadership changes in how we're doing how we're either disciplining, promoting, and acknowledging good and bad towards our officers. And number 3 would have to be probably have to be our communication with the media. We got to be careful on what we're saying to them and not overgive information.
Next question. Budget plays a large part in the leadership role of the Sheriff's Department. What has prepared you for managing a large budget, and what are some budget areas that you think are of concern?
That would help that out. Also working on trying to get our drug court even expanded out a little bit more. Give some alternative ways of going through the judicial system. Sex trafficking, we don't generally deal too much with that at this area at this time. How to handle it, we're going to probably have to work with partners with other partnering law enforcement agencies and group our resources together. Thank you.
Mr. Wilz, sex trafficking, drugs, drug trafficking, mental health. What's your approach?
Well, we do have a problem with human trafficking, believe it or not. It can stem from the, I guess we're going to say the strip joint. We've had calls from them that some of the girls there have been trafficked. I've had that from some of our detectives who were actively involved. The drug issue, we have a task force which includes many counties that come over and help us with our drug issues. We also have one of our drug officers who was recently promoted to detective sergeant. He's actually a task force officer with DEA. So any tools we need, he's available to get those. And that's something that isn't available to most drug officers. Mental health is an issue with drugs. I agree with Cameron. We have drug court. Is it successful? Sometimes. But I think we need intervention a little more than that. And I'm willing to work with anybody in mental health or Department of Health and Human Services to talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got quite a few questions from the audience asking about what has your participation been in the Waupaca County Republican Party? And then also, how many signatures did you personally acquire for your nomination? So I'll address that to both of you. So if you'd like to start, Mr. Wilz.
So I've been involved with the Republican Party for probably 5.5 years. I've been to many of their Patriot forums. Anytime Ron Johnson, Mike Gallagher, anyone showed up, some of our local government runners, I've been actively involved with all of that. I've been to the Republican Party caucus this year. I made just about every Lincoln, Reagan, Trump dinner that we've had with good support, and I support the Republican Party strong. and I believe I'm an asset to them, protecting their constitutional rights. And the second one was,
How many signatures did you personally acquire for your nomination?
I believe I acquired 210 myself.
Mr. Durrant, what has been your involvement with the Waupaca County Republican Party, and how many signatures did you personally acquire?
Honestly, I have not participated at all with the Republican Party. I just actually signed up with them last week or two with them. With my signatures, I probably got maybe 20 of my own.
Okay. We were asked quite a variety of questions about different amendment rights. So what I'm going to ask you as a question is, why don't you share some of your position on different amendment rights, ones that are important to you, ones that think that you need to work to uphold?
The Second Amendment is important to me. I'm an avid hunter, avid sportsman. For ones that don't understand, Second Amendment would be able to possess or carry a firearm. I love to go out and shoot. I don't want to lose my firearm. I will uphold and enforce any laws that are on the books, though. And what was the second part of that?
Red flag.
Oh, what other ones? Fourth Amendment, I want to protect search and seizure. I want to make sure that it's done properly, even against suspects or defendants. And that's something that is an issue in our department at this time. Those are the ones that I've written. Okay.
Just a reminder to the audience, there were quite a variety of specific questions. You will be able to ask each candidate personally afterwards your specific question, but for the sake of time, we're kind of grouping things together to get a broad stroke at this. Mr. Wilz, could you talk a little bit about the different amendments that are important to you?
Absolutely. Second Amendment is probably the most valued amendment in the Bill of Rights that we have. I support that. I support concealed carry. In fact, I think everyone should conceal carry. Protect yourself. We may not get there. And I'm gonna say that this red flag law that they want to come in violates three that I know. Your Second Amendment right, your Fifth for due process, and your Fourth Amendment for search and seizure. And I definitely will not be in favor, nor will I act on anything of red flag. What that does is if I say, Tim, Tim's is dangerous, we're supposed to go and take his guns, that's not going to happen on my watch. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Wilz, what is your greatest professional failure, and what did you learn from it?
I would say when I took office,